It looks like a big question has been answered when it comes to some very specific Avengers Doomsday leaks. We know that the X-Men and the Avengers are eventually going to end up in the same place. And we know that eventually they're all going to be fighting with each other against Doom. Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, confirmed this himself. He said the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts / New Avengers, the Wakandans, and the X-Men are all going to be teaming up and fighting against Dr. Doom. However, we have heard some reports that we are going to get a big Avengers versus the X-Men scene. We've also been hearing that there's a big Doom versus the X-Men scene happening where Doom controls the Sentinels and uses them to attack the X-Men. So the question is, how exactly do the Avengers get to the X-Men universe? When they get there, why do the X-Men and the Avengers fight? And how do they eventually realize that Doom is the main villain? That's what we're going to break down in this video. At this point, we've known for a while now that Captain Marvel's primary goal in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since the end of the Marvels has solely been trying to find Monica Rambeau, who ended up in another universe. Now, the post-credits showed us that she is going to be in the X-Men universe. So the Avengers meeting these specific X-Men makes a lot of sense. And it looks like we know how they're going to meet for the very first time, because we know Captain Marvel has been searching for a way to get Monica Rambeau back, and it does seem like she does know she's in a different universe. But it sounds like how she gets there is going to be a little different than we thought, if this report is true. We've heard in the past that Captain Marvel is going to be examining the bangle that she has, and Kamala has another one of those bangles as well. And I think this is going to set up Doom in a very interesting way, along with the 10 rings. But of course, the story about how it connects to Doom is going to have to be changed just a little bit, because originally these were supposed to be Kang tech. And while I definitely think that they should address Kang in some way, shape, or form in Avengers Doomsday, I think they're trying to cut all ties to Kang the best they possibly can. It wouldn't be my choice, but that's why Robert Downey Jr. is here as Doom. So I doubt these are going to be related to Kang tech. The only way I see them actually retconning this would be if they said Dr. Doom simply killed Kang and took all of his technology. However, you couldn't really directly link the tech and Doom together unless you knew that happened, in which the Avengers and Captain Marvel, I don't think will know that right away. But this all leads to Doom, and both parties, the Avengers and the X-Men, realizing that Doom is the true enemy of the multiverse and that they shouldn't fight each other, but should come together and fight him. And let me explain how I think that's all going to go down based on these new reports that we've heard. We're going to pick up with the story of Captain Marvel trying to figure out where Monica Rambeau is at. She's going to start to examine the bangle that she has. Kamala Khan has the other, so naturally they're probably going to talk to each other about it, and Kamala should reveal to her that the bangle essentially kind of took her to another realm, another plane. Then we're going to go back to examine the 10 rings, and this will tie in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene. And perhaps they'll choose to keep the beacon part the same, where Wong says that when he used it, it sent a beacon and was currently sending a beacon out. Originally, it was supposed to be calling Kang because it's his tech, but of course they're going to have to change that. So somehow it should be calling Doom. We'll see if they stick with that, which I hope they do. But the other part is that Wong says when he used it for the first time, they felt it in Kamar-Taj. And keep in mind, Captain Marvel was there for this conversation. Granted, it was via hologram, but she observed and heard everything that was going on. And she is actually the one who pointed out that it was a beacon. Now, they might scrap the rings altogether, although I hope they don't, because I think it would be cool for Doom to use the rings. But regardless, this is about Captain Marvel being a part of this conversation and returning to Earth to speak to Wong about everything that is happening. Since they felt it at the Kamar-Taj, and the bangle tech is similar to the rings tech, it makes sense for Captain Marvel to go to Earth, not only because that's where Monica Rambeau is from, but also she can speak to Wong. Now here's where the leaks come in. We've been hearing that on the set for Avengers Doomsday right now, they're building a ship which is titled Captain Marvel's ship. So the question is, how does that ship get over into the X-Men universe? Well, according to a new report, it's not going to be via the bangles or the 10 rings, but they're actually going to get to this other universe in a way that makes a lot of sense. They're going to get there via America Chavez. According to a report from claimed insider James Mack, America Chavez helps the Avengers by opening a portal to the Incursion universe, but she does not go with them. Now, in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, America Chavez didn't really have control over her powers, at least not until the very end. And even then, she probably still didn't know how to fully control her powers. But we know since then she has been training. With Wong and with other sorcerers, she has become an apprentice. So with enough training, she probably does have some good control over her powers by now, which would explain how she is able to open a portal to the correct universe. And perhaps by Captain Marvel kind of telling her about Monica Rambeau, showing her pictures and videos of her, that is how America Chavez will be able to envision Monica Rambeau and open up a universe to go and get her. Now, I think that originally, Captain Marvel and a few other Avengers, most likely Sam Wilson's Avengers team, not the Thunderbolts / New Avengers, will go simply to try and retrieve Monica Rambeau. However, when they get there, the X-Men will have just been attacked by Dr. Doom. The reports tell us that Doom is going to attack the X-Mansion with Sentinels, and we have seen the Avengers Doomsday leak set photos with the destroyed Sentinels on the ground. So we know that part is happening. We don't necessarily know how it's going to end, and we don't necessarily know why Dr. Doom is attacking the X-Mansion. But ultimately, we know that this scene will eventually end, and there will be X-Men left over, of course. They're not all going to die. If they did, that would be pretty insane. So Doom's gonna come and go, and the X-Men will have just fought him. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of a portal through thin air, here comes a ship full of superpowered individuals. And since the X-Men just fought Doom, since Doom was hostile and attacked them, they're probably going to assume that these other superpowered individuals are also hostile. And that's where we get our Avengers versus the X-Men scene. Now, eventually, they're going to realize that they're not hostile, they're not bad, and that they're just looking for their friend, who the X-Men happen to have, and we know this because we have seen the post-credit scene of the Marvels. We see Hank McCoy, aka Beast, there, and he mentions Charles Xavier. So eventually, they'll realize that they're not the enemy, but then they'll have a talk about Doom. And based off of what we have heard from the post-credit scene from the Thunderbolts, something is going on at Earth 616 as well. There's a space crisis, and we know that the Fantastic Four are going to end up in Earth 616 as well. And if what we've been hearing about the post-credit scene for the Fantastic Four is true, Dr. Doom takes Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue, then they're probably going to go to 616 and mention Dr. Doom. So Doom will be a familiar name to the Avengers. Now, going to the X-Men universe, they're going to find out that Doom attacked them. Also, I do believe they're going to link Doom to the Bengals and to the 10 Rings in some way, shape, or form. So Captain Marvel might realize that that is possibly who the beacon was sent to. Then there are two other major things that are going to be happening at the same time. One is that Doctor Strange is probably going to be the missing piece to the puzzle. He's going around with Clea learning about incursions, and will most likely find out that Dr. Doom is going around and is playing a big part in incursions. Whether that's Doom trying to save universes and failing, or actually causing the destruction of some universes, I think Strange is going to find out what's going on. And this is when the Avengers are going to realize they have to get to Loki. Then at the same time, they're going to start to realize that the two universes, the X-Men universe and our Avengers universe, 616, they themselves are about to have an incursion. And based on what Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus said, the reason for this happening is because Monica Rambeau from the 616 universe was in the X-Men universe. Therefore, that universe was getting pulled to the 616 universe. But by the time the Avengers get there, it might be too late. And they realize that perhaps the only chance they actually have at saving the entire multiverse is to team up and go and take on Dr. Doom. And at some point in time, I assume Dr. Doom is going to go to the main 616 universe, in which the X-Men will go to that universe as well, and everybody will start fighting Doom. But I think they're going to lose, and Doom is going to get away, and he's going to go search for Loki. And that's where the Avengers will somehow realize that they have to go to the TVA. Now, I hope Loki somehow manages to tell them, and that he's trying to orchestrate a huge Avengers team, because he'll know that Doom is up to something. He can see into every single universe, and we've heard that Loki is trying to assemble a multiversal Avengers team. So hopefully Loki is the key here, and he is the one who somehow tells everybody Doom is going for the TVA. He wants to control the entire multiverse. So I think that everything we just discussed has a fairly decent chance of happening based on all the reports that we've heard, if they are indeed true. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. What do you think will happen? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Marvel. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.